Johnson go?
Yes, that in order of appearance, that's absolutely right. And the senator from Delaware is always collegial. And Senator Johnson, please.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, because I've got a noon meeting, and apologize I haven't been here for the full time, because this is an incredibly important hearing. Let me state at the outset, I think growing income inequality is a real problem. It truly is. I think we all have to recognize that. Also, I think what's undeniable is our tax code is a grotesque and complex monstrosity. And I guess I come at this from the standpoint, if we were to simplify and rationalize it, we could fix an awful lot of these things. And the example I'll use is, I know the chairman would like to tax unrealizable gains, which I think violates a basic tenet of taxation, wherewithal to pay. There's another way of addressing this, though. One of the problems is about 73% of corporate income is never double taxed. It builds up inside these corporations. I think it distorts our M&A market. So what I've suggested is, why not treat the 5% of American businesses that are C Corps like we do 95% of other businesses, and tax the business income every year at the ownership level. I know C Corps would scream, but it would go a long way toward addressing that particular problem. I've presented that to my colleagues. It's a way of simplifying it. Another problem we have is capital gains tax. It's just an arbitrary number. It really makes no sense. I mean, what's trying to address the fact that it's unfair to tax inflationary gains, correct? So why not just index out the inflationary gains? It's very easy to do, and then tax that at ordinary rates. Now, I just think it's bizarre that we have different levels of taxation for different types of income. From my standpoint, income is income. So that's the direction we ought to move our tax code toward: simplify, rationalize it. Like I said, it's a rational thought to say income is income. You only tax income when you have the wherewithal to pay. If you base things on certain principles, I think that'd go a long way toward fixing things. I did want to ask Mr. Gupta and Mr. Lord, I think both of you complained about stepped-up basis, but isn't it true that stepped-up basis is applied to assets that are subject to gift and estate tax? So if you were to start taxing the stepped-up basis, you're double taxing that. Again, I realize there's certain assets that are not subject to, because they're exempt. You have the personal exemption. But beyond that, it'd be grossly unfair to provide a gift or estate tax, and then on top of that, tax the gain. Would you not agree with that?
Senator, I would respectfully disagree for a couple reasons. The estate tax and the income tax are two different taxes. We have a kind of a transactional tax system in America. If I get paid wages and then I go to the store and pay sales tax on my purchases, that's not double taxation. But beyond that, the estate and gift tax planning is such that it actually can be accomplished to avoid estate and gift tax entirely and get stepped up basis.
But let me go back. So if you're talking about assets that are income producing, and you go to my system where all income is taxed at the ownership level every year, it's already been taxed. If you're talking about assets that appreciate primarily because of inflation, you ought to be indexing that out anyway. Then on top of that, you throw a penalty of a transfer because of a gift tax, or again, whatever. That's the penalty tax. So, you're transferring an asset to your heir or gifting to somebody. Now we're going to penalize that. Mr. Brabant, I mean, can you comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real concern for family businesses, and the estate tax is always a huge deal for family businesses. If you compound this with getting rid of stepped-up basis, there's a real concern that family businesses will more often than not be sold, and usually to larger businesses and who don't have the same footprint in local communities.
Mr. Bunn, you want to comment a little bit just in terms of the irrationality of how we treat different types of income differently? And basically what I'm talking about is, let's simplify and rationalize our tax code. That ought to be, kind of our driving mantra in terms of fixing these things.
Yeah, I would say on stepped-up basis, if you change that policy without changing anything else, it's going to create a lot of significant problems and tax hikes. Some of the problems that Mr. Brabant mentioned. I think generally, though, we're in agreement, moving towards a more simple system, a system that we can, recognize the horizontal and vertical equity, as many public finance folks talk about, and be able to just rationalize things so that compliance and administration are lower cost.
So again, I would just suggest to get focus on areas of agreement. I agree. I think we agree. Growing income inequality is a real problem. I think we agree we have an incredibly complex tax system. So let's focus on that area of agreement, and let's try and make our tax system simpler and more rational, and it'll address a lot of the problem in terms of growing income inequality. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank my colleague. We're going to go to Senator Warren in just a second, but